I've been working on different aspects of the 1970s and the 1960s for a while, starting with my undergrad senior thesis. And I had been doing my dissertation on prison activism in the 1970s. And so personally had spent a lot of time in archives and doing oral histories. And in the course of doing that, as any scholar, came across many people doing similar work, both inside the academy and outside. And so this book was an attempt to pull some of that work together, really driven by a combination of oral histories and archival research. Both projects, AIM and the RNA, attempted to operationalize the assertion that Leroy Jones, later Amiri Baraka, made in 1962 when he said, quote, "Black is a country." Moving beyond the rhetoric of national identities, these groups made concrete the political logic embedded in the claims of racial solidarity leveraged throughout the 1960s and 1970s. These organizations called for redrawing the political boundaries of the modern world, or, as a popular AIM slogan put it, U.S. out of North America. These and related groups contribute to an understanding of the spatial politics of race and radicalism. Part of the argument of the book is that the 1970s was obviously a part of the 1960s, this era that we think of as a time period of great social upheaval. But it also was a time period when people became activists themselves, right? And it wasn't just sort of 60s holdouts in their time period between being radical and becoming conservative, as the stereotype goes. And so the book is arranged in some sense to take note of the changes that people themselves went through if they were, had been involved in some of the earlier civil rights and student movements of the 60s, for instance, where they found themselves in the 1970s, versus those people who were too young to experience the 60s as a period, but who got politically active in the 1970s. And so it ends with the essays that talk about community, because I think it is in that expansive notion of community that I talked about as both an ideal and a practice where people came together.